multiple players on the team since last night have spoken out on social media regarding, the shooting of Jacob Blake in Kenosha. Have you addressed the team about it? And also, these events as they happen, how does it affect you?
Well, I think, yes, we have talked about it as a team. It's stuff, we've talked about in the past, even before this. We talked about it today as a team. How it affects me personally, I think, one of the things I look at is, to me, that a shame is you look at a football team and how a football team works and the respect that everybody has for each other on a team. It's a pretty special deal. I don't think people get as maybe when you're in a locker room, you're on the field within the players and teams I've been on. Look at our team here. We even talked about this today. You see guys that have a lot of respect for each other, and they're less concerned about where you're from, what religion you are, what your socioeconomic or racial backgrounds are. They're very concerned about, do you go hard, do things the right way, and guys that go hard and try their best and do things the right way, and everybody's different talent levels, but if you do that, everybody, you have great respect for all your teammates. And so when I look at that, I do say, I think, one of the hard things is the world. I mean, you turn on any news channel and it's extremes, right? And I don't know that we're in extremes. I think a lot of people probably in the middle, but I think a lot of people maybe are ignorant about a lot of things that go on. A lot of people get extremely emotional about things that go on, and they are very emotional things. Sorry, hold on. That was my lunch falling. But I think it's really important for people to educate themselves. And there's a lot of ignorance in the world. And that doesn't mean being ignorant, people want to look at people and say this person's a good person or a bad person. There's bad people in the world. There are a lot of bad people in the world. There's also a lot of ignorant people in the world. And one of the best things we can do is try to educate ignorant people. Best thing you do is try to educate yourself. And try to understand other people and become educated. And the best way to respect somebody is to try to educate yourself about them. And if you do that, you have a chance of spreading a positive message, and spreading a great message of respect and love to other people in the world more than, kind of hatred, ignorance, or those type of things. And I think it is. So obviously those are obviously terrible, scary things. And you know what, I've never been in that situation, thankfully. And I hope I never am, and I think it's terrible that people even have to, that are in those situations or even in them. And I think the better we can educate ourselves, the better off we'll be.
Well, seeing everything with these sports leagues, with the NBA last night and games not ended up going on, I don't know if you've seen now, but apparently a vote came out that players do plan on going back and playing in the playoffs now. People have had mixed reactions to that. But in terms of, your position or your student athletes' positions, not even just on your team, but across the NCAA, how do you think they can help educate people?
I think as we talked about, I don't want to speak for all of our student athletes, but I speak for me.
Of course.
And we talk about them. And I'm sure they, as you said, I guess they do speak for themselves, and we encourage them to do that. We encourage them, and we have a great platform. Okay. And we have a platform just by, the role we're in, that we can help people better understand things. We can help people by trying to become educated about other people. To try to learn about other people, to try to learn about other people's backgrounds, to kind of try to respect other people's backgrounds, to not just draw assumptions. And it's really hard to do, right? Change is uncomfortable for a lot of people, right? I mean, change is really uncomfortable. People I don't want to change. I like what I have, because to change, I got to get outside my comfort zone, and change is extremely uncomfortable. Okay. But people have to try to get a little uncomfortable, and people got to try to go learn about other people. Go expand your horizons. Go expand what it is. Don't just look at something and judge other people, or don't look at somebody that's different to you and judge them. Go learn about everything. And, you know, and it is, I've become very educated over the last couple of months. You know what, I would probably look at things and then form an opinion. And sometimes now I look back and I've changed my opinions on a lot of things. You know what, and what it's taught me is be cautious. I think when something happens, you're going to form an automatic opinion. Okay, but the smart thing to do is educate yourself. And make sure your opinion is well thought out and know why you would do what you would do, or why you believe in what you believe, and challenge yourself to think about those things in every aspect of life.
Thank you.
Matt Baker.
I want to follow up on two things there, Dan. First of all, you just said that you've educated yourself, you've learned things. Can you give an example of something that either an opinion you've changed or just a tangible way you've kind of changed in the last couple of months?
I think just in little things. You look, right, and you know what one thing, and you just read. It was a great little thing I read, and just even to make you think, is, you know, when Black Lives Matter come out and then people want to fight and say all lives matter, and you know, right, and we look at that and say, okay, yeah, I mean, I can see how that makes sense. And then you go educate yourself. But you go back and think about different things. Or somebody wrote an article, I don't know, I saw it somewhere, when, you know, the Boston Marathon bombing came out, and the Boston Strong shirts came out, right? Well, why isn't everybody strong? Why does it only have to be Boston that gets to be strong, right? And when you think about it, to me, in the terms of that, where it does, right? Of course, all lives do matter, but that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about this specific situation, okay, where we're seeing racial injustices happen, okay, and we're trying to draw light to that. We're not trying to say other things aren't important. We're trying to draw light to this, and when you can draw on things from a lot of examples, like people all of a sudden want to jump and say, okay, well, what about this? I have to be on a side. No, you just educate yourself. And what we're trying to do is educate ourselves about the social injustices that are happening. It doesn't mean, you know, when you say Black Lives Matter, it doesn't mean I'm not forgetting about other people. It means I'm focusing on the social injustice issues that we currently have in our country. And let's focus on that. And that's what it pays attention to. Maybe instead of, like, you know, people jump to other conclusions. And it was a really educational thing to think about, and then a different way to think. For me, when you do it, is making sure, you know, is what is the message trying to get across here?
And then my other question, South Florida and Boston College chose not to practice today to have these more, you know, bigger discussions. Some NFL teams also did the same thing. Was that at all something that you all discussed, not practicing?
No. And our guys love football. They want to play football. I think, you know, that's something that our right. I mean, our guys love playing football. And so I think they like to play football. Now, they have a great opportunity right now, a lot of time, to use their platform and do other things. And we discuss those things outside of football. So I don't know. I think our guys, they really enjoy being out there practicing, getting ready for a football season. But I think they are very conscious about using the platform that they have to do it. I don't know if, I mean, we had a great discussion about it after practice today. Great discussion about everything after practice today. And, you know, I think we'll still have more. We've had some in the past. We had some today. We need to have more. We got to find even better ways to do it. Have good discussions within our team on things on things moving forward. But you know, I don't think it ever crossed over that football is kind of its own deal. You know, football practice is its own deal. That's a separate entity.
Edgar, go ahead.
Last one on that, Dan. Did you notice the players somewhat distant at times with all this stuff going on outside the program? I mean, just COVID on top of now all the social injustice stuff.
It's been going on for a while. I think you know, I don't know, me personally, I've always felt the football field is a very safe place for guys, and that's kind of their safe place, is when we're out there doing football and playing football. You are kind of away from the rest of the world. So I think a lot of the issues maybe come outside of that more than while we're in our football time. You know, and that's not something I've noticed over the last couple of weeks. That's something I've noticed since I began coaching. You know, there's all kinds of things that have happened throughout my time coaching. You know, this isn't the first time we've dealt with. I mean, the first time we've dealt with a major pandemic. But you know, there's all kinds of different situations and things that happen within teams, within programs, and in the community, and all that stuff. I've always felt football is kind of the safe place.
You know, Dan, you kind of touched on it the other day a little bit, and I know you didn't want to get too far ahead because things are just kind of starting. But you've been with national title teams. You had a #1 team, Mississippi State. I mean, you look at this roster, the ingredients you have, leadership, all that. How far do you think this team can go this year?
You know, I mean, you're excited. A lot of things. I think we have the potential to go compete for a championship and be a championship team. We have that potential. Obviously, there's a lot of things that go into that. But I think we have that potential, you know, which is really good, and it's really exciting. Now, you know, like I've said, being on those teams, a lot of things have to happen for it to play out that way, for it to end up being a championship team. In the end, there's still a lot of other things that have to happen before that would happen, but we certainly have the potential to be.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah.
Andy, go ahead.
All right.
Sorry,
Dan.
Andy, I should make you show.
I am now unmuted.
There you go.
All right.
Actually, I'm not going to answer questions unless you show your picture of your face.
Exactly.
You're like
Nick
a
Saban
bot.
won't, so I figured you'd be the same way. So I heard you talking about making sure you got 5 guys training at center and that somebody's ready in case something happens. How valuable is it to have 2 guys at quarterback who have played quite a bit in games, who you are comfortable having out there? Can you imagine trying to do this, get a team ready without quarterbacks who are experienced?
Yeah, it'd be tricky. But I mean, when a quarterback doesn't have experience, it's always tricky. We always try to go to the pace of our quarterback. So we're able to go pretty fast with our installation and everything that we do because you go at the pace of the quarterback. So everybody else has to catch up because they have experience. But I think it certainly gives you a lot of comfort, and it certainly gives you the opportunity that you can get reps in. You get a lot of quality reps in because those, you know, and so the other positions, they have a guy that is always getting us into the right check, is trying to check the right protections, is making good reads in the pass game. So, you know, it helps the teaching and learning of everybody else on the field. So I think that certainly helps. And then it's obviously much easier getting ready for games because you don't have to think about the plan of, okay, well, what if? You know, if you have guys with experience, you know, you're not spending as much time on the what if because we have guys that have played.
How much did it help with the situation where when they weren't here and then again when they're back and they're doing some voluntary stuff that Kyle and Emery are kind of established, the guys know who they are, they already look at them as the guys?
Well, I think part of it in the, you know, when you got into the part that helps probably was when you're doing all the Zoom meetings and all of that stuff, which, you know, I mean, I don't mind Zoom meeting with you guys, but I've about had it with other Zoom meetings, you know? But when you're doing that with guys that have experience and have played, you can actually get things done. You know what I mean? Because you're watching the film and they know what you're talking about. You know, and sometimes the young guys, I mean, you got to stand up. Let's walk this through. You know, you can look in their face and get a feel like they have no idea what I'm talking about. When you have guys that already know what's going on, when you're teaching, you know they know what's going on.
Thank you.
Cassidy, I know there's got to be some sign somewhere that says don't zoom and drive.
Say that one more time.
Yeah, you're zooming and driving. That's dangerous.
I've got this under complete control.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. No, to go back and follow up a little bit on what you were talking about earlier. Some of the guys have mentioned before that when Mahmoud came in, it really sort of helped them shift their mindset about being around someone that was raised completely different than they were. Did you see that shift in the locker room as well, and how has it kind of felt?
I don't know if I saw a shift in the locker room, but, you know, I'm not with them 24/7 in there, you know, with the players. But I think it's been great because I think, you know, with Mahmoud, he does, you know, like I said, when you look at people's background, being a Muslim and coming in, I think that's very educational for people to go learn those ways. And in coaching, I probably learned that. One of the great places for me that I got to coach as a young coach was the University of Utah. And you get out there and you have, a giant LDS community. You get to learn about, the religion and the background and different people. There was a big Polynesian community, and I got to learn a lot about the Polynesian community, and some of those things. And I've always been somebody, I love to learn about different cultures. My mom's a British citizen. My mom's not a U.S. citizen. She's a British citizen. And so I have family that way. And she was, she's obviously teaches classical ballet in the theater. And so I was around the theater a lot. And you think of different worlds. You think of the theater and you think of football. But you get to learn about different people and respect a lot of different ways, different thoughts, different beliefs. And I really enjoy learning about different people and learning different cultures and different ways. You know what? I get frustrated myself when I'm ignorant to different things, but we all are at times. And I get really frustrated with myself when I'm ignorant about things. And I'm like, why would I not process this and think about this in a better manner? And it happens to everybody.
And then now that you have got a few practices under your belt, well, Michael P. Ryan, I remember one time saying that he could tell a week into fall camp what the season was going to go like just by watching the guys through those first few practices. Have you been able to kind of get an identity or a sense of this team and have an idea of what it will be like?
Who used to say that they could tell that after a week? Uh-oh.
I think she said P. Ryan.
Yeah, P. Ryan.
Oh, I got to bring him back and watch practice then so I can tell me what type of team we're going to have. No, I don't know. I think if you look at last year's team, it's a great example of it is, I think the personality of the team kind of evolved as the season went on. Now, obviously there are circumstances that change that with your quarterback going down and those such things. But even then, I think we're still learning about our team. I think you know certain things about your team. I should put it that way. You know about, issues, guys that like to play football. You start to get an ideas of who's going to play and who's going to contribute this year. You start to get those of who's ready to do that. But as far as the team as a whole, there's still a lot of things. You're just going against each other. And until you go against somebody else, there's still questions you're going to have until that happens.
Goldie, go ahead.
Yeah, Dan, I was curious. I know you guys are having your first scrimmage tomorrow. Is there anything you're looking forward to in particular in terms of getting out of that scrimmage?
I'd love to get out healthy, obviously. That's the number one thing. No, it's going to be interesting. We haven't played football in a long time, a really long time. And now we're practicing. Our practices are starting to look a little bit more normal. But to go out there and tackle and catch ball security and get hit and do all of those different things to see where we're at. Usually you have 2 scrimmages in a spring game during the springtime. Usually you get 2 scrimmages during fall camp. So between, that New Year's Day, the 9 months until kickoff, there's 5 opportunities to do it. Since December 31st, we've had 0. And, normally, this time last year, we were 1-0. And, we haven't had an opportunity since 2019, that glorious year. In retrospect, how this one seems to have gone so far. But I haven't got hit and tackled and played live football. So that's one of the things I want to see where we're at that way.
Is there any certain position group that you'd like to see maybe make some strides?
No, I'm watching everybody. I want to just play football more than worry about position groups. One of the things that's hard in the scrimmage, like as a position group as a whole, and you always got to take into effect is, we're going to run, I don't know, maybe 100 with everybody. You're going to run 30 offensive plays. Well, that's 2 games worth that you're getting one night with, 150, 100 and, whatever, we have 18 guys getting reps. In a game, you might have, 60 get reps. So, there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen in the scrimmage that might not be reflective of what's going to happen in a game with developmental guys and whatnot. So you got to kind of take it all in, and then, you're figuring out, looking at the things that end up being relevant to the current team more than the program as a whole.
Robbie, you're up.
Hey, Dan. With classes starting on Monday, are all or most of your guys going to be going online, or will they actually be going into the classroom? And by going online, does that kind of help them stay in kind of a bubble?
My understanding on campus is a lot of the classes, there's still going to be a lot of online classes. So we're not all online and we're not all in person. So there's going to be kind of a mix and a balance. And so for me to say all our guys are online, I can't say that, because there be some guys that have some classes that are going to be in-person classes they need to go to. But I do think the majority of them will try to be online.
And Dante Lang, has he moved from tight end to defensive end? And have there been any other position changes?
Yeah, he has. That's like a big one, because he changed offense to defense, right? Stone Forsythe's going to play our wide receiver position. No, that's a big one, going to offense, defense. We haven't had anybody else switch sides of the ball. As you guys know, we experiment with guys at different spots and moving guys around, and a lot of that's for depth purposes, but nobody else is really, I don't think anybody else has changed wholesale that way. Have they? I'm trying to think. I probably should be able to reel that stuff off to you, but Dante is playing defense. He's the only guy that's changed sides of the ball.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
Sounds like somebody's got the roster. Hey, Dan, I'm just curious, when you've got 100 players, 10 coaches with different varying degrees of emotion and history, background, all experiences, how do you manage everybody getting a chance to talk and feeling like they've been able to get their voice or their opinion out there?
Yeah, that's interesting. That is a good question. And we're working on different ways to constantly do that, right? There's, because the one thing is people are comfortable in very different settings. Some guys are great getting up in front and talking in front of the whole team. Other guys maybe don't like those things. Other guys don't like to talk. Other guys maybe are very introverted. Maybe they're very private about their feelings. So we're trying different things. I think in person, obviously, I will say this, the one thing that we decided on today, we don't need to do is a Zoom meeting. That's what we decided. There's no personal aspect of opening up on a Zoom call, unfortunately. That's what the guys felt. So we're going to try and experiment even different ways and just more ways to go. The one bad thing, a lot of times you get a lot of that stuff during training camp, and then the altered training camp has made it a little bit difficult this year. But we're going to continue to try to make things bring guys together closer as a team, and also find good ways for us to use our platform to educate people. That's kind of the big one. That's a big one the team talk about it's one thing to have a platform. It's one thing to make a statement, but how do you make change? And what's the best way we can do that? And, make meaningful changes. And that's one of the things that everybody's working on.
Nick, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Going back to the scrimmage, you say like 130 plays. I guess you've still got 30 days, but given everything going on and Andy asked you before about guys getting hurt or maybe guys getting sick, do you change the way you do scrimmage at all? No, we're in a regular scrimmage mode. I don't know about getting sick, but getting hurt obviously always makes you nervous. Scrimmage. The difference between scrimmage tomorrow and today is actually guys touch the ground. So the biggest concern for me is, and the issue when guys touch the ground is what people don't understand all the time. Okay, if you tackle me, chances are both of us are safe. It's it's the third party, the innocent bystander that gets rolled up on.
when guys hit the ground. And those are where a lot more of the injuries come from. So, you know, that's why you don't scrimmage all the time. And so we're going to just do our regular scrimmage because, you know, we got to just see where we're at before we get out there to play a game and get guys used to doing some live things to be safe, so that the one-on-one is safe, but the things that you know, they got to learn to make sure they're doing that safely. But it's always the you know, the next guy over. You know, you hit me and tackle me and go sideways, and then I fall in, right? To, you know, Mark's right down here on my screen, like boom, and I go into Mark, and bang, there goes his leg. So
Mark wouldn't get out of the way.
that's what you worry about. He looks like he's in a seated, comfortable position, so he would probably be safe.
You can take his umbrella down with him. Do you have quarterbacks live at all during scrimmage?
Not this year.
Gotcha.
I'll refer back to the earlier question. It's great to have quarterbacks with experience. So the quarterbacks with no experience, I've made them live before in scrimmages if they have no experience. But the fact that they have experience, we're going to let them be protected.
Hey, just to follow up on that, Dan, do you pipe in crowd noise? I mean, I saw the NFL is going to mandate 80 decibels of pipe in. I mean, like, will you do that? Not knowing what
I've been asking that. I've been asking, you know, like I've been asking the league, like, you know, a really easy decision we can make to prepare for such things is if they just give us an answer, you know, and they said, well, let's wait and see what the fans are. Well, we don't need to wait and see what the fans are. Okay, if the stadium's full, then we don't need to pipe in crowd noise. If the stadium's not going to be full, what's our rule going to be? I'd love to get, you know, that's a great question for the league office. I've been asking it. Maybe you guys ask it because, you know, like I keep saying, when we're in such a time that when there are uncertainties, when things that you can make certain, heck of a deal to do. So either the stadium's going to be full, or if it's not full, you're allowed to pump in this certain amount of crowd noise, or this is going to be how it's going to be set up. You know, it's going to be one of these multiple scenarios, and here's how we're going to play out in each scenario. Then we can prepare for it that way. But we're not going to tomorrow. But it'd be a heck of a deal to know what's going to happen before it happens.
Zach, go ahead.
Hey, Dan, obviously been asked a lot about Kyle and Emery, but how giddy are you and Brian about Anthony at this point? Just what he's bringing to that quarterback position and how good you guys feel about that room?
Pretty good. You know, I think he is I mean, he's really good young guy. He picks it up very quickly, very natural, doesn't get flustered, has the things you want to see. And obviously is you know, but it's his first training camp. He was hoping he was going to get a spring. He didn't get a spring, but you know, I mean, you see him picks, you know, things that he picks up fast. And then there's other things he's still taking as, you know, trying to figure out, but we've thrown it, you know, the fact that you have two other veteran quarterbacks in there, things have been thrown at him really fast, and we haven't kind of pampered or babied him. We'll just see how he's picked it all up, and he's done a pretty good job of it.
And then outside of Kadarius and Jacob, who are some guys that are capable of playing that slot position and kind of working in there for you?
There's a bunch. Rick Wells played in there. Trent Whitmore's played in there. Ethan Pouncey's played in there. Jalen Jackson's played in there.
Yeah.
We got a bunch.
And obviously some different skill sets there. What do you got? What are some different things that you guys can do with players specifically in that spot, depending on who's there?
Well, what you do is you try to always build around the strengths of the guys. So, you know, one of the things we do, if you watch on our offense, we have the ability to move guys around schematically and to try to create matchups. So that's something we've always been able to do. So there's within our system, I can get any of our guys into the slot, and I can get any of our guys outside one-on-one. So that's kind of already built in. And then what we do is build it around the strengths of each individual.
Yep. Thanks, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll go David and then close with the studio that is Buddy Martin.
Coach, a schedule change to open up. You open up with Ole Miss now when originally you were planning to play them later in the season. How does that change in preparation for them, and is the team more fired up to play an opponent like that compared to Eastern Washington?
The team's fired up to play, but you know, it's really funny as you brought that up. We were laughing about this the other day. So, you know, you get your off-season research, and the SEC, I don't know if it's all people think about the football that did it this way, but our first two SEC games, I'm not mistaken, right, are Kentucky and Tennessee. We're supposed to be Kentucky and Tennessee, right? So you do your off-season research on Kentucky and Tennessee, and you get all that kind of stuff ready for those early season games. What do? Let's ship those two to the end, and then let's move up the two ones that are supposed to be at the end, move them up to the beginning because you know what? We know we haven't researched them yet. So when you think about it, it would have made a lot more sense to just keep Kentucky and Tennessee there and keep those guys at the end because we would have, I'm sure as most coaches, right, I guarantee Tennessee and Kentucky did their off-season plan on Florida as well. And then Lane and Will are probably sitting there looking at it in the offseason saying, hey, we got those guys later. We'll have some film on them to research them as the season goes on. And then they kind of accelerated them. So we got to get caught up on the research on those two teams.
Well, with Ole Miss and that being Lane Kiffin's first game, what kind of newness does that bring and how to prepare for him and everything that's new there with him?
That's a pain in the rear end because you can't watch Ole Miss film because he wasn't there last year. So you're watching Ole Miss film to watch the players. Yeah, then you're watching, where he was, where the coordinator was, where the D coordinator was throughout the years, and you're trying to mix and match it all together. But you guys can report on their depth charts and everything they're doing at practice would be a heck of a deal for us. Bob, I'm going to put you in charge of that. You go, give me the inside scoop of the Ole Miss practice.
We'll trade you for yours.
Yeah, there we go. You give me all theirs, I'll give you all mine.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, close us out, bud.
Yeah. Hi, Dan. How you doing? I would like to know if you give us a few words about the quarterback that we haven't seen and we haven't really talked about much. And since last year's bowl win, and he's worked this summer, and you've had a chance to observe him, can you tell us about what you see in Kyle Trask, perhaps what refinements you're seeing, and what your opinion is about his progress at this point?
Well, I think it's great. I think we're really working. Sorry, guys. Did I just cut you all off?
I'm here.
Okay. You all disappeared from me. One of the great things we're working on kind of graduate level stuff with Kyle right now, which is, he understands the offense and the reads and all of that. It is how fast he's getting to everything, the ability to check and change plays, the ability to expand a game plan where he has automatics that he can get us to. And, hey, we like this play against this, like this play, and I don't love, to get into like 3-way or 4-way or automatic checks and all of that stuff, the real graduate level stuff of playing the position and how he's managing and leading everybody on the field, because that's a lot of the stuff we're working on right now with him, because I think, him understanding the offense, he knows where we want to go with the ball, what we're trying to do with each play, why we're trying to do it. And now just kind of putting it all together to let him kind of be that field general out there and let it go.
And his mechanics look good to you right now? His mechanics look good to you? Hello?
Y'all disappeared from me, so.
Hello?
I'm shut down here.
Hello, Coach.
All right. Bye, everybody out there in the virtual world.
To get one more in there.
How's the mechanics look? Good. Yeah, he's good. He's been very, working. Obviously, accuracy is such a critical part to the quarterback position. So, and he's been pretty accurate so far.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thanks, guys.